multi-six figures, $1 million company, like team members. When we think it's a strategy issue, it's a mindset issue. And when we think it's a mindset issue, it's a strategy issue. What is working and what isn't working, and what's the data that actually exists to support it? When we really understand as well, like human psyche and our ego, didn't learn a business course, like they just fucking did it. I've invested over $100,000 into my business, personal, professional development, $24,000 on a mastermind that was 4 months. Like we think business requires self-sacrifice and, losing ourselves in the process. Just because you're ticking a box doesn't mean that you're like executing the strategy. I'd encourage you to dig deeper, to look at the data, and then from there understand what's working and what's not.
Welcome to Unfiltered Greatness, where powerful stories and insights meet practical wisdom to help you expand your perspective and live with purpose. I'm your host, Santosha. And if you enjoy these conversations, it would mean the world to me if you could hit that follow button wherever you're listening and share this podcast with a friend or to your story and tag us. It makes such a huge difference in helping us bring even more incredible guests your way. Now, let's get into today's episode. Taylor, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you
excited
so much for having me.
to have you on today.
I'm like cutting you off. I'm so excited to talk.
I'm so grateful that you're coming on. I know you're just such an amazing person, and this is going to be such an incredibly valuable episode. And you have your own podcast, so if anyone wants to go check that out, do you want to mention what it's called?
It's Simply Business, if anyone wants to listen to this episode first and then go there. Like, you have to stay here. But no, thank you so much for having me. And I just found out that it's hasn't even launched yet. So I'm excited to be a part of the first kind of episodes that are coming out.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course.
So, first question. You've transitioned from coach to consultant. What changed in how you saw yourself and what you offer?
Okay, stunning. So I'm going to give the long-winded answer to this one.
Yes, love it.
So I have been in the industry for just over 3 years now, when then I kind of like started as a coach. So I went from studying at university, majoring in social media. And then I did some freelance work after my internship and was just doing freelance social media management. That kind of transitioned into doing more coaching, because I kind of didn't like that clients still were like, oh, we don't like this, we don't like that, where I'm such like, I'm the dictator type personality.
Yeah.
I'm type A. So I was like, I would rather just go in, train these businesses, and then they're good, they're equipped with what they need
themselves
for social. So kind of was doing that in person, was training like real estate agents and things like that. And then was like, I'm going to do this online, because at the time I met my best friend and she was doing fitness coaching online. I'm like,
yeah, cool.
Just coming into the world of like, wow, yeah, you could just get on a Zoom call versus lose the travel time and all of the things. So working smarter. Then when I was taking on clients for social media coaching, a lot of the clients were kind of asking more business questions and how did you have these systems set up? So it progressed into then like business coaching, if you will.
Yeah.
And like the industry at the time, even still, like it's an unregulated industry. And I was finding even a lot of business coaches that I was getting, it was kind of the energy of, hey, this is a problem I have in business. What do I do? Like it was very much that like responding kind of energy. The same way if I was to see maybe a health coach or something like that, like, hey, these are my symptoms, what's going on kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I remember January of last year. So what was that? It must have been. Yeah. I'm like, I'm so like blurred in the times. I was in like probably the worst season I'd ever been in business from like a financial lens. And I was talking to my dad at the time, who has a business. And he's like, how's business going? And I was like, I fucking hate it. Like, I feel so disconnected, which other things contributed in terms of like just being kind of, burnt by business coaches. And, I was investing so much, but my business was just going downhill. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on, because I was so consumed in taking on other people's advice. And here's what you should be doing. And here's the do's and the don'ts. And I was like, I don't even feel like I'm a business coach, like who, like, like I'm 20 something, like yada, yada, yada. What I do with my clients isn't coaching. Like, I don't feel like I resonate with it.
Yeah.
And it literally was just a Google search of like, what are the other things? And then I saw consultant and the actual definition. I'm like, that's what I do with my clients. Like I'm actually in with my clients. Like all of my clients start with me. I'm going in, I'm looking at, the projected problems that we could, like, how can we be proactive in your business? And I was in with my clients. I'm like, I'm not just kind of like someone that you pay and like we get on a call every fortnight and you can ask me a few questions. I don't see myself as like a mentor.
Yeah.
I don't have 10 years experience under my belt. I was someone that was like, here's what I specialize in. I'm a specialist in this area and I can help you. So that's kind of how the transition happened, even from like my entire business journey to there. And now I really do just see myself, I'm a consultant, I'm an advisor. People don't pay me because I have, 20 years experience under my belt or I've scaled multi-million-dollar companies. It's because I really dial in when it comes to systems, streamlining your marketing, just streamlining and simplifying your business as a whole, for small service providers. So I'm really specific in who I help. I still can help businesses outside of that. But yeah, coming into just like me and the clarity of what I do versus like, what I think I needed to do was really what contributed to the label shift, if you will.
Yeah, really niching down there as well. You said burnt by business coaches.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So I've invested over $100,000 into my business, personal, professional development.
Wow.
And I've scaled that back massively in terms of how much I've invested in just like the past 12 months alone. So I want to say that was my first 2 years of business. So it was like a lot, like, if my parents are listening to this, but like, $24,000 on a mastermind that was 4 months, like that kind of thing. For context, that mastermind, whilst at the time there were no complaints and things like that, now I look in hindsight and I'm like, it was just investing because that's what you felt like you needed to do in order to be taken seriously in the industry. It was like, well, I'm investing and I'm doing this thing and this is my mentor. So like now that makes me credible, which really created a bit of a pyramid scheme.
I actually have heard some people talk about like coaching coaches as a bit of a pyramid scheme.
Well, it really like the industry became it for a bit where it was like, these are the top dog, coaches. And then you're coached by this person, coached by this person. It was like, it created like this high school, like clique again, where it was like, that's what it was like in the industry and the little bubble that I was in. And that's where even that January where I was like, I'm removing myself, like I'm unfollowing people. Like I don't want to be a part of
that anymore.
This. And like, I'm taking people like advice from people that don't even have what I want to have. And there was honestly so many people that are still online now that are just talking absolute shit, or it's like, learn from me and I'll teach you how to make millions. Yet, you actually know the behind the scenes, and I'm in the behind the scenes of so many businesses, and like, it's actually just untrue. So but with being burnt from coaches, like that one particular coach, like I was investing in her. I invested over like $30,000 in her, and then just randomly got blocked one day for literally no reason. Yeah.
After the course had finished.
And like at the time too, like there was no complaints, nothing like bad that I said. I actually had a lot of like respect. And then there was one day that I was like, why can't I find her account? Like, and then lo and behold, on my partner's phone, it's still showing up. And then I'm just chucking this in there. I created a TikTok about it, like, invested this, didn't say anything bad, didn't say her names. A week or two later, it went viral and then got a cease and desist from her. So,
wow.
And I'm not unique in that experience either. Like I've connected with so many people, not even necessarily her, but just like in the industry that's like, I've invested in so-called business coaches, 10K, 15K, 20K for a mastermind to like someone answer a few questions on a call to be in their energy, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And they're like, I didn't get a return in my business. Not everything is a tangible financial ROI, but there needs to be some level of return for what you're investing because it is unregulated.
Totally. Yeah.
It can get a bit sticky.
And there are so many people going into coaching because like you can make a lot of money from it. And I think it's important to just be careful.
Yeah.
Like really looking into what that person offers and if it's aligned for you, because even if what they offer is amazing, but it's not aligned with what you need at that time, you're still not going to be getting the return on what you're investing.
1,000%. I think just asking the right questions as well, because, there's a lot of really glamorized marketing out there. So just because you see someone that's traveling the world and like has all of this, but then you hear 6 months later that was like, at that time my bank account was zero. And it's like, personally, if I'm wanting to learn business or building wealth and a healthy, profitable business, feel free to ask those questions. Like the right person, especially when it comes to business coaching or consulting, like they should have assets to their name. They should have a profitable business. And if you're going to learn business off someone, you want to make sure that they've got their ducks in a row.
Totally.
And not that anyone needs to be perfect, but you do want them to be in a healthy, good position in business, know what they're doing.
Absolutely. And I feel like as someone who wants to get a coach, it's like, I think a lot of people just look at the marketing, look at the final product, and then go, I want that. They look like they're going to make it easy for me to get to that point.
Yeah.
And people buy that final idea of what they're going to get from the course or the coach or, whatever it is, but don't actually look at, okay, what's the process to get there? And they're not the type of person who are going to get there.
1,000%. I think the process piece is also huge too. I see a lot of the business bros that are out there, and it's like, I doubled my revenue in 3 months, and like, yeah, amazing. But what did you do to get there? And I'm not saying hard work is required, sacrifice is required, but also I, for the longest time, was like, okay, cool. Well, it's got to be, 16-hour days. And yes, also that still like grew my business and things like that. I also now know how to grow my business whilst being able to honor when I'm in my luteal phase, being able to have slower days, be able to come
Love that.
do a podcast interview. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to be the person that's like, smacking 25 fucking cans of OxyShred every day just to get my work done. Like, I think that's also huge of like, okay, what's your methodology of how you're going to take me there? Because you get someone that just tells you to be more disciplined and work harder. Sure, it can get results, but you're guaranteed to burn out, especially as a woman in business.
Yeah. When you're not like, especially as a woman in business, needing to honor your cycles, needing to honor when like you can give a little bit more, when you need to draw back a little bit more, and really tuning into how beneficial that can be throughout your phases where you are maybe more creative or maybe you're more sociable, and really tuning into that.
Yeah,
I think it's so powerful.
I just like cycle syncing my business was the best thing I've ever done for myself. Like, I got my period on Monday. And so like 3 days ago for everyone listening, because they're like, where's Monday? And it was just like, cool. I literally stayed in bed until 10, 11 a.m., like just chilling. And it was like, I had really bad pain, but like my business, I've built my business around that. That wasn't like, oh shit, like I have all these meetings planned, because I'm not planning a bunch of meetings and I'm not planning all of these client calls on those days. And yes, life happens as well. But I know my follicular, that's where I'm recording all of my content. I'm doing podcasts. I'm being very intentional about optimizing my days. And then luteal is a lot slower. Work from bed if I want to, have 3-hour work days. Like, it's not as hands-on. So I think that's also huge too.
Creating the lifestyle of what your business, how you want it to feel. And that's something that you emphasize in your content that you share as well. Was there a key moment in your journey where you realized the way I've been doing business isn't sustainable anymore? And what did you do next?
Yeah, so I would say probably that similar phase of where I kind of shifted to, okay, I want to like be a consult, like I'm stepping into the consultant side of things. That year was also the year though that I did like bust my balls. Like, I was working hard. I would say then coming up to that like Christmas break, so it was like 12 months of like, I was still working really hard late nights. My partner would be upstairs. I was down in my office. It was required, but then I also got to a point that I was like, I don't want to sacrifice quality time with my partner. And not even that I really was, but in what my standard is, it still wasn't like where I wanted to be.
Definitely not sustainable.
Yeah. So it was kind of like that moment. I would say as well, like, I don't think I'm really bad for acknowledging what's actually true for me. I think I was like, I'm not burnt out, because I would still just like keep going. And I also just love my business so much. But
and
I
you'd
definitely
be seeing results, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think it can be like quite addictive, because it's like, well, like I'm fine, I'm surviving. And I'm so classic for like, choose bigger problems, because I experienced the opposite end of like, where's my next client coming from? So I never wanted to complain when it was like, clients are coming out of the wazoo. Like, what do I do? Like, so it was kind of one of those. But I think, hiring my like team member and being able to then really like step back, I was like, oh, this is what it was like once I actually created space, that's when I realized that it wasn't sustainable what I was doing, if that makes sense.
Interesting. Yeah.
Versus like getting to that point of like, the fuck. But my partner and I recently moved house in, I want to say April, so like 3-4 months ago. Ever since we moved there, we're just like out in nature. So I feel like my nervous system as well was like, oh. But ever since we moved, I can really acknowledge like that's where I've just allowed myself to slow down, lean on my team, and then also see now evidence of like, wow, that creates more capacity for me to do more in a more sustainable way, make the same, if not more, which I have been, which is cool.
So what you did is essentially nothing. You were just living your life.
Literally. I think it was just like, I think a lot of the time too, as business owners, we create a lot of busyness for ourselves that doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it really taught me is like, okay, you can't do that stuff now. Yeah, you probably fuck around for like 40% of your day. And I think that's what I see with a lot of founders. It's like, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I'm like, okay, or do you just love being busy and you feel like you're not worthy of receiving good money unless you're busy, unless you're working really hard? Because that's what I even caught with myself. It's like, you know, my partner would come home from work and I'm like, oh, I've got to finish this, that, and the other. It's like, okay, Taylor, but what did you do from 12 till 2?
Yeah.
Nothing. Or 12 to 3, it's like you were fucking around, you were scrolling TikTok. So I think as well, it's almost the identity pice as well, which is where the mindset part of it comes in of like, lose the damsel in distress identity and like getting love and validation. Oh, but then my partner cooks for me and then my partner looks after me when you're so stressed and busy. Okay, what would your days look like if he came home and you were good and you were just like going to boxing and like living a day?
Yeah.
And then for me, it was creating evidence of like, oh, I'm still loved and I can still make money.
That's so interesting. The identity piece, of course, and the like feelings of validation and being loved for being like, as you said, the damsel in distress.
How much though does society as well just like, you know, the hard worker, we just like take our hat, like if it's like, how have you been? Yeah, so busy. Like, we just fucking eat it up. And it's like, I think even new levels for me in terms of how I'm like changing the infrastructure of my business. Yeah, would it feel uncomfortable just having 2-hour work days? Like you've got to face things of then still setting boundaries when it comes to, hey, Tay, can you go pick up this thing? Can you go do this thing for me? But I know someone wouldn't ask that if I worked a full-time job or if I was so busy, you know? So it's like, you've got to see all those things if that making money working an hour a day was easy. Like that's what you have to like face. And it's not coming from a space of things not working anymore.
I love that. Boundaries, identity piece.
Yeah.
How has your identity shifted since coming into business?
Yeah, it's really funny because I still have moments of it. Like I think this is like me to my core, but I'm actually really shy and I'm a huge introvert. Like it's really funny because people then would see my content and I'm like, opinions, this, that, the other, like yapping, and I still like love coming to podcasts. So I'm a lot more confident in things like this and confident with being able to speak just because of repetition. I don't think that's even been like identity. That's just like what you do more of.
I relate.
Yeah. But I'm a huge like introvert and like even I recently started boxing in a gym and I'm like, I'm such a like shy, like at a space like that. But I would say in terms of like my identity shifting in business, I think it's like a whole new level of like, it's like a knowing of like, I just know what I'm talking about. Like it's like a deep level of confidence in what you specialize in, what you do. And yes, I still have moments of like questioning, but
a little bit of doubt.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's like the human part of us, but I think it really is that of just like, no, I know my shit, and like that kind of confidence in that identity of like, no, I know and I can change your business for you. Like, but again, I think it all is just like repetition, like whatever we do enough of, we can shift and change that as well.
Yeah. And I think that having the knowledge and having the skill behind you, like you've been to uni, you've like consulted so many clients now that you know that you're good at what you do. And I think for a lot of people, the imposter syndrome comes in, and sometimes it's kind of valid. Like sometimes you know that you're not quite where you need to be. And I think it could go two ways. One way would be you actually don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
And you should probably get more qualified and more experience before you start charging. And the other one is just that identity piece of you actually do know enough and you just need to be 2 steps ahead of the person that you're serving. And like you can step into that role.
Yeah. It's that competence equals confidence piece, right? Like when you are like educated in it. And I think a lot of the time too, even with like imposter syndrome, sometimes it's just a label that's convenient to put on it where it's like, no, what if it was just new? Or what if it was just like a bit of a stretch for you?
I love this. Yeah.
You know, again, I'm just going to relate it to going to boxing, but like I could be like put on the label of I'm an imposter. Like, yeah, I'm in a gym with a bunch of fighters that have been fighting their entire life. But I'm like, I'm just new to this. Like, I think it's like we can choose the labels we give to things. And then exactly like you said with the other end, sometimes the imposter syndrome is actually a reflection of like, maybe you are an imposter and maybe you are saying things that are out of your scope and maybe you shouldn't be doing X, Y, and Z. So I think it's just like, the internal compass. But yeah, I think not all of the time it's like the label that we go to put on things as well, which is interesting.
Has your definition of success changed since the early days? And what does it look like for you now? I feel like you've already touched on it a little bit.
Yeah. It's so funny. I was on a podcast like a week or two ago, and he was saying, he's like, you're so successful. And I'm like, it's so funny, like, whether this is the part of me that can't receive a reflection of like, you're successful. Like, I see it and I'm like, success to me, if I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, I've got an amazing partner. We're both healthy. Like, I'm the healthiest I've ever been. I've got an incredible business. Like, I love my career. I make good money. Like, they're all the things to me. Like, we've got a great relationship with both of our families. Like, that to me is success, the ability to travel, like all of the things. So I don't think it's ever like a number where I think in the past I thought it was, multi six figures, $1 million company, like team members, all of these things, which for me, I always have to anchor into like, what are my values? Because that actually guides success. Because just because you can create something, I could have a team of 10 if I wanted to scale it to that. But I'm like, that takes me away from, because then I'd have to manage people. Like, I know what comes with it. So success and the definitions definitely change, because I once upon a time would have loved to have a commercial space and have a bunch of team, where now I'm like, no, I want a simple life and a simple business. Like that to me is success. But it still doesn't feel like I have success, which is so interesting. That's just like a acknowledgement piece. But I'm like, well, I look at, things that are further ahead, and I think it's just it's like a strength and a weakness, right? Like, cool, I'm like, no, I've got so much to go. Like, I don't want to settle here. But equally, like, God forbid you acknowledge what you have created. It's one of those ones.
I think it's definitely like two things. Again, like, success is always in the future, and that's kind of what determines a successful person. But success is also now. I think. And I think that's so beautiful that it has shifted for you from like let's say monetary goal, or a like scaling of your business, to rather what makes you feel good, the people in your life, the relationships in your life. Because like, ultimately, that is really the most important part, is like nurturing the community that you're in. We're such social animals, and I think that's such a huge part of fulfillment. It's having that community.
It's like, without those things, you could have as much as you wanted in your bank account and all of the things. And I think a lot of people would be like, oh, easy for you to say, or like, I can guarantee I would be happier on a jet ski, or like whatever. Like, I'm also big on, well, yeah, like I'm happier like crying in a nicer car. Like, like, like I love materialistic things as well. Like, I love a nice car and things like that. But without those things, that wouldn't matter then. Like, if you didn't have anyone to go on a jet ski with, if you didn't have anyone, like, insert the thing to go overseas with, there'd still be a huge like empty piece inside. So I think when you think to like overall what your actual values are, I think for a lot of people, even people listening, like, okay, if I did transfer you $100,000 into your bank account, then what on top of that would actually make you feel fulfilled? Because that's the actual thing that you're chasing.
That's such a great analogy. I love that. Once you had that $100,000,
what would you do with it? Because that's what actually matters.
What would actually make you feel fulfilled from that point?
And I think as well, like, well, what can you do right now? And I'm so guilty of this too, but I think a lot of the time you could go, okay, well, if I had 100,000, I would fly to Europe. I'd do a Europe trip. Like, I'd travel. Okay, but what travel can you do right now? Do you know what I mean? Like, well, can you just go camping on the weekend? Can you go have a staycay at a hotel? Because
a staycay.
Have you never heard staycay?
No,
before?
but I love
a
that.
staycation.
Love it.
I'm taking my team member on a staycay in Brisbane soon. But like, you can do, even for that, like, yes, I would love to take my team member overseas. That'd be so fucking cool. But like, okay, let's just start there. Like, I think a lot of people don't start small as well, or even same with careers. I don't feel fulfilled in my career. I need a complete change. Okay, well, can you just pick up like a hobby or something else on the side that can give you that fulfillment, and you're taking steps in the right direction? I think a lot of the time,
a slow transition rather than a like complete start, and like you don't even know what you're like dipping your toes into.
Exactly. And it's like, you might not even like that thing yet. Like, learn a course on it, like listen to more podcasts on it. There's so much on YouTube, AI, like, start there. Because I think a lot of the time we think we've got to go from 0 to 100, but it's like, hey, what's like the first 10 steps? Like, just start there, even if it's down to fulfillment. So it's like, okay, you want to have a morning routine where it can be a slow routine. do you have the 30 minutes in the morning before you have to go to work where you can walk on the beach?
Can you create that space?
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
I can guarantee you have that time, like wake up 30 minutes earlier and you're slowly going to get there and create capacity.
Yeah. Actually, something that I've come to realize somewhat recently is that if someone says, I don't have time to do X, and say whatever you want, they're lying.
1,000%.
They do. And I know I'm guilty of this too. I'm just going to speak from a me perspective. I do have time to do meal prep or go to the gym or, whatever it is. It's just a matter of prioritizing your time. And you've already touched on this earlier, like you get to the afternoon, you're like, oh, but I have so much stuff to do. But then there was that point in the day where maybe it wasn't as productive. And I think for anyone who's listening, maybe this will, like, if you pull back a layer, this will, like, sink in that you probably can do the thing that you want to do, like make that 30 minutes in the morning to go for a walk, but it's just prioritizing your time and, like, getting rid of the things that aren't fulfilling and don't matter, that are just kind of like clouding. They're just like noise that we don't even recognize.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of the time too, like this will always like flare people's egos. And it's like, easy for you to say because I've got 2 kids and this and that. And whilst like I'll never try and put myself in a position because I'm like, well, I've never had kids. So I'm like, I fully can see and acknowledge that. But like for as long as you're playing victim to it, like, and for as long as you're just projecting that, you never have to see the part of you that maybe does actually have 10 minutes here or whatever it might be. So yeah, just leaning in of like, hey, what can just be step 1 right now? Yeah. And if it is, say, I can't meal prep, I can't eat healthy. Okay, well, can you get pre-made meals? Can you ingredient prep? Like, what are the small things that you can do in your day? And I see that in business so often where, people come to me like, I want to do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, there is so much online right now. Like, are you actually just like leading first? Like, even for yourself with the podcast, like, yeah, it's going to be messy at the start and it's not going to make sense. You're going to like, editing's going to take you way fucking longer. But then, in 6 months' time, you'll be like a wizard at it. And it's like, people just aren't willing to take the messy action and be a beginner at things and things not being perfect at the start. But yeah, some people would wait until they've started with a business coach and they've done this, that, and the other, and then I'll get a full podcast strategy. It's like, just do it and start. You'll go from there. Yeah. And I think that the best way to learn is to do it. Yeah. I heard I think it was an audiobook, there was a group of students that were doing a photography project. Half of them were told you're assessed on 1 image. The rest of the other half was told you have to take lots and lots of images and you're assessed on like, I don't know, let's say 20. And the best images in the group all came, like 100% came from the group that took heaps of images. Wow. And so it really just shows like, you need to keep trying. You need to keep doing the thing and trying different ways. And even if it's messy at the start, just do it. And the product will be better than if you just try and be a perfectionist and do like the theoretical kind of planning rather than the practical learning. Yeah. Yeah. And being someone that really specializes in strategy, and I'm like, have a fucking strategy in your business, have a plan. People are always rattled when I'm like, just do the thing. Like there is also a time and place where you can strategize after the fact. It's just knowing when there's a time and place to do it. But if you get too caught in like, I need the plan, I need the how to, a lot of people that think they need the strategy actually need to just do the thing and then vice versa. Yes. But it's like, just even with a podcast, you can get, like if it's a 7-8 episodes, and then we're just chatting before and I'm like, you could do this for your launch. Like that's where strategy comes from as well. It's like we wouldn't have had this conversation if you weren't, you didn't invite me on your podcast and things like that as well. So it's like that wouldn't have happened. So I think people just need to like send it and then they can trust that they're going to fix it up afterwards. I love that. It's all a learning journey. You bring such clarity to back-end strategy, queen of back-end. Could you walk us through what one of your refinement phases might look like with a client? Okay, so I feel like this looks different, like dependent on the client, the business, and like where that they're at. But something that I do with all of my clients is we start with an audit so I can see every kind of facet of their business. So that might look like the actual operations, that might look like the systems and processes they have in place, their marketing processes, their actual marketing itself. I'm really big on, in business, there's so many uncontrollables. Like today there was quite a few uncontrollables that came up that I had to like fix, fires that you've got to put out. So in my opinion, you want to control as many of the controllable variables as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And where I see people go wrong is things that are so controllable, things that can be put on autopilot or just have a system, outsource it, whatever, they still manually do because it's like, oh, it's just like easy for me to like do this thing and I can just, it doesn't take me too long. Like it's a lot
still
of
taking the time.
those ones. And it's like, you'll forever be capped in your capacity for as long as you're manually handling things, for as long as things are messy.
Yeah.
And I'm just like such a problem solver. I'm like, if something can be done easier, let's do it easier. So I'd say one of the biggest things for clients is definitely how that they're actually managing their client base. Especially as a service provider, like your client base is your business.
Yeah.
And if you don't effectively manage your clients, if they're not like onboarded seamlessly, if they haven't signed their contracts and you're not secure from that side of things, you haven't like collected their finances effectively, you've done that manually, maybe sent them through a manual invoice, they've BSB'd, hey, can you follow this up? Like if that's all clunky, that's the first encounter that a client's had with you in your business. If you've got business A that's like, I don't know about you, but like who was it the other day sent me something and it was like manual and I was just like, oh my God, like if I have to manually pay this thing and go back and forth, like I literally won't do it.
Yeah.
But even
it needs to be seamless.
Yeah.
And that builds trust as well because you know
1,000%.
they know their shit.
And it's like, that's like the experience, right? Where you've got the other business that's like, cool, okay, I want this thing. Apple Pay on my phone. It takes me through. Oh, there's a welcome video from Taylor. Cool, there's this intake form. I know the next steps. Like your client also feels really certain.
Yeah.
They've just invested their hard-earned money into you. And then it's this clunky, messy thing that, yes, they might not know if it's good or bad, but just being able to put the time into that, people are always like, oh my God, I felt like looked after and supported the moment I paid, which is really, really important from a client experience perspective. But then making sure that you can effectively manage the in-between of your clients. If your response times are poor, if you're not effectively going, okay, cool, you know, Sally's been with me for a month, let's send her a check-in. Like if you're not effectively, and not everything needs to be automated, you can still have a personal touch, but do you have a space where you can manage that? Do you have processes in place of this is what happens when they're a month in? We send them a check-in. When they're a month out from finishing, do you send them a client gift?
Yeah.
Are you actually making sure, oh, I haven't heard from Sally in a month or two? Like there's actually a touch point and you're really looking after that relationship. That's huge. Like we're so big on that and our retention rates are so incredibly high. Like we'll have clients that might even leave for 18 months and come back or just stay on for such a long period of time in comparison to 12 months prior. It's increased massively because yes, I've got an employee to manage it now, but we've got the systems and she effectively manages it to look after the clients. And same with the offboarding too. Like there's nothing worse when you have an experience and it's like, oh, did that just like end abruptly? Like, and you don't hear from them again. Whereas, hey, thanks so much. This is the thing. Like if you want to like give us some feedback, we'd love to hear it. Here's some options if you do want to continue. Like if they're feeling looked after throughout the entire experience, 9 times out of 10, they're going to have, honestly, 9 times out of 100, one time out of 100. No, 99 times out of 100. I was like trying to get my percentages right. I'm like, 9 out of 10 is actually not a great success rate. But like most times they're going to have an incredible experience with you. I've even had clients where it's like maybe they didn't have the transformation that they wanted, like their business wasn't in a phase at whatever. But they're like, I still felt like left over. Looked after. I was merging those two together. Looked after. Entire time, you know, response times were great. Like that's what matters from a service provider's lens.
Yeah. I love that. It's all about the experience, right? If it's seamless, there's more trust. And like, especially in the world we live in now, everyone just wants things so quickly. It needs to be easy. It needs to be straightforward.
Yeah.
Like if it's not, like you said, you might just decide not to.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the easier way because someone else will make it more seamless.
Yeah, you want as less friction as possible for the buyer, especially when they're spending money. Like you want it to be seamless. Things like Apple Pay, whatever it is, like what can you have from a purchasing standpoint, like questions, all of the things, even how that you deliver, you know, content, whatever it might be in your service, how you deliver your service. They're all important things that often so many people overlook. But you can have the most incredible coach. Like, and I've seen so many clients or people that I just see online. I'm like, I know for a fact you're an incredible fitness coach. You're an incredible mindset coach. But your systems, your infrastructure lets you down so massively because you can't effectively deliver the service to the clients. And you might think, well, I'm fucking great. Like I could tell them X, Y, and Z. But if they don't feel considered in it, and everyone has different learning styles and what they value. That's something
Yeah.
I even
Yeah.
ask in my onboarding, is like, literally I'm understanding their support styles.
That's so interesting. That is such a great question because everyone is so different.
Yeah.
What are the different like learning or support styles?
We kind of structure it. We have like a few questions in our intake forms of just like how they prefer feedback, like to get feedback, because that's obviously massive in how I do it. How do they feel like acknowledged in wins, and like, oh wow, Taylor really sees me.
Yeah.
So it's literally just like a multi-select, which over time have kind of
Cool.
shifted and evolved. But I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. This person really values just like directness. This person would rather, maybe have a bit of a discussion and a back and forth. I've like heard some kind of, coaches and mentors, which I think you naturally sign up to the person that you resonate with, of
Yeah.
course. Like, it's
Yeah.
not that I shift, who I am and how I deliver things. Some people are just like so extremely direct in things, which I love directness, but like I'm also such a softie at heart. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I've heard some things with, friends or whatever that have been in spaces with a coach. I'm like, did they actually say that to you? Like, that would just break, like, I would feel rattled by that, because I'm like, I
Too
still
direct.
I need a compliment sandwich. I need you to tell me
the best
what
way
I'm
to do
doing
it.
well,
Yeah.
and then give me something to improve on.
Us at the end.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's like, again, it can be an incredible coach, but if I feel like it's coming from a space that might be mean or nasty, even if it's not meant that way, I think it's really important that you're working with humans, and you do need to understand the human that's on the other side of it.
Yeah, I love that so much. You've said that your work is about reducing complexity and not adding to it. Where do you see business owners overcomplicating things the most?
Yeah, I would say kind of almost that busyness piece that I was touching on before. It's like they actually just create it so unconsciously, of like oh, well, I've got to do this thing, I've got to do that thing. It's like, just fucking sit down and do the thing. Like, even down to like, okay, if you've got a meeting here, like, and a meeting there, simplify your day. Like, I see so many people do that, and it's like, oh, I've got to go here and I've got to go there. I'm like, can we just like stack things more effectively?
Yeah, you're already in the zone.
Even down to like people's calendar management. I know this always, like, it sounds so simple, but it makes like so much sense in my head, because I feel like I'm just wired this way. But I'll even go in and audit someone's business. I'm like, all right, what's your calendar look like for a week? And it's like Monday, client call 9 till 10, and then a client call from like, 1 till 2, and then one on Tuesday, a 30-minute thing on Wednesday. And it's like,
So
you are just
out.
going like, you've got your finger in 10 different pies. You can't dial into specific areas. Like, it's things like that, of even just like time management as well. I'm like, I stack my client call days. Like, I don't touch, like, I don't respond to clients on a Wednesday. My clients know that I'm out. Today I was doing meetings, business development, podcast. So my response times aren't poor. So I'm like, I'll stack things on a Wednesday. My like Tuesdays and Fridays are my client call days. I don't have any other responsibilities for my business other than serving clients. So
that's so amazing that they know that they can rely on you on those days as well. Like, it's setting those boundaries and the standards that like you can each hold each other up to.
Exactly. So yeah, clients know it's like, I can be posting on my Instagram. It's not like, oh, is she ignoring me? Because there's that communication there, which is also huge in terms of like a systems perspective. Where else are they creating complexity? Honestly, just so much manual handling a lot of the time. And I think a lot of the time too, in like the infrastructure side of things. So what I mean by that is, they'll always just be doing like one-on-one client work, or it's like super messy in how that it's delivered, and then they're meant to end here but it should have ended here, where there's no kind of structure of like start finish dates, how you're structuring your call times, how you're structuring the deliverables with the client, and then almost creating harder work for yourself. Like, we could actually create a really scalable offer here that makes the most sense for the client transformation, but they don't, because they're addicted to, well, I've got to do, like, I can only get the result one-on-one, or I can only get the result in this way. So I think a lot of the time too, it's been more so married to the way they've always done it versus getting curious of, is there a better way to do it? Is
People
there a
don't
better
like
way
change.
Exactly. Even down to like content, I see some people and it's like, oh, I've got to film and edit content today. And I'm like, why aren't you batching that? Like, why aren't you like structuring and batching that, so that when life happens, again, especially as females, I'm not recording a fucking reel in my luteal phase. There's no sentences coming out. Like, it's awful. So it's even that too, of like, just the smallest little things make the biggest difference.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Like structuring, again, your time around your cycle, and like reducing the complication by really like getting clear on what days you want to assign to what,
Yeah.
and like setting those boundaries with clients or with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. You reverse engineer quarterly goals. What's your favorite starting point when someone is stuck in the messy middle?
Oh, are we going to go more like financial? Are you feeling for this in terms of like the quarterly goals and reverse engineering that?
However you'd like to approach.
Okay. I'm going to go as if that like a client's kind of come to me with like, all right, this is what I want to achieve in the next 12 weeks.
Yeah.
A lot of the time for business, like there is a financial goal in there
Yeah, of
usually.
course.
And then it's sometimes tied to as well, okay, what can that financial target then allow them to achieve from a goals perspective? That's something I am really big on is, okay, we can say we want a $20,000 a month, $60,000 a quarter. Okay, but why? Like we have to, as
The
humans, have a deeper
why.
meaning
Yes.
behind it because it's just a number and it doesn't feel that exciting. It's like, hey,
Mm.
what does that create? And that's where the numbers will be exciting for a phase, but like, okay, what does it create that actually supports your values and your desires as a human?
Mm.
Okay, cool. That means I can then, go on a trip away or like insert the thing,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
That's really important from like a reverse engineering standpoint. The next thing is if that they're looking at, say, $20,000 months, a lot of the time clients come on with me with a goal. I had a client recently and she was like, I want to do my first like $10,000 month. And I was looking
Yeah.
at her offer suite and she was charging weekly coaching at maybe $110 per week per
Yeah.
client. So looking at that, like so that's $2,500 per week. So that's going to be about 25 clients just under for her to be able to hit that financial target. She had maybe 5 or 6, which is like still perfect and amazing. But I said to her, I'm like, at the rate that you're charging
Not
for
scalable.
what you actually have to deliver your clients in the nature of the work you do, it's kind of not achievable unless you do want to be on all of these calls. Mind you, she was working a part-time job. I'm like, from a capacity, like you actually can't achieve it. And I'm not saying that to burst your bubble, but it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Unless we're bringing in other kind of more scalable offers. Okay, you've got your retreat. How can we kind of bring in some more sales for that? Can we pre-launch that now? Get some people that are from the wait list, get them on payment plans.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
equates to it. So when that we're looking at reverse engineering, people forget business is a numbers game. And we just get to look at that and look at, okay, the numbers and the capacity within that as well. Because I could say I want to do a $200,000 month, but based on my offer suite, it's
Actually not going to happen.
it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
And I think a lot of people like be delusional, manifest. And I've had my fair share as well of like, that doesn't make sense. Like, how did I hit that month? Like, I've had my moments of that. So it's really that blend of still be a little bit delusional, but also understand that your goals, it's like, okay, but I can still somewhat achieve that. Otherwise,
Yeah.
every single month is just going to feel like a knockback. I'm not good enough. Whatever I do, no matter how hard I work, it's like, no, the numbers literally say that you can't, and based on your capacity and what you have to offer. So that's the biggest thing. And then when it comes to the reverse engineering, that's where I'd bring in other parts of, okay, if you've got a retreat that you're selling for 2026, yes, it's still, 8 months away. But what can we kind of implement now that can start bringing in some revenue? Can you be, launching that to people that are on extended payment plans? Do you have other offers? Okay, you've got some low ticket things you could be selling. Like, can people be paying in full? Okay, cool. You want to get 2 people that pay in full. There's your 10K. Like, so every single month you get 2 pay in fulls. Like, you can start looking at how it can happen.
Yeah, like reevaluating your strategy on how you can actually make the end goal work. And I love that you mentioned the manifesting and like delusion.
Yeah.
And I think that manifestation is so powerful and that we manifest all the time, every day, regardless of whether we realize or not. But also, you need strategy. Like, there needs to be something in place that's going to allow you to get to that point.
Yeah.
And for me, my like general explanation is you need to become the person for whom that reality is possible. Like, you need to run the numbers and like things that are beyond your wildest expectation are possible. And on one of your podcast episodes, you say that you don't like to set a goal for the year because that kind of like sets the boundary of your ceiling.
Yeah.
And why set that boundary?
Yeah.
Like, what if it could be so much bigger and so much more than that?
Yeah. And like I was saying to you before we were recording, my partner and I were like doing our vision boards for the year, and I was like, okay, cool, like a house. I was like, oh, maybe, like the end of the year we could kind of get a house. I'm like, maybe August would feel really soon. Like, that's incredible. Like 8 months in.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8 months in. And we got the opportunity to purchase a house in like February, March. And it's like that happened so incredibly quickly. But like if I was so married to like a timeline and okay, the reverse engineering, we've got to put this much aside for this thing. And like, yes, there's also tangible that comes into it, but like we ended up being able to get the house for cheaper and things like that. So you don't want to put limitations on like how structured things have to be in order for things to happen as well.
Because that timeline could collapse.
1,000%.
And like set the goal, manifest, also do the things, and don't have that time expectation. Because if you think it's going to happen at the end of the year, it might happen in 6 months. It might happen sooner than that.
Literally.
But also, if you're not doing the things and you're just being delusional, you're just thinking it's going to happen, it's not going to happen in a year.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen.
Yeah, 1,000%. It's like you're saying with the version of yourself, okay, if you have a $1 million business, okay, well, does the $1 million CEO version of you know her profit and loss statement? Does she hire a team? Does she know what's happening on the inside and the outside? Does she understand her marketing strategy? Do they have good internal processes, great operations? Yes. Okay. Start doing that now. And that's where a lot of people get so like, you just need action. Okay. But like, you can also do both. And I think a lot of the time, I find it so interesting, people that are so far on the end of like manifestation and be delusional. Because I'm like, you guys are the ones that are meant to know like polarity. Like, you actually need both. You need the feminine, you need the masculine. And like, we're both sipping on coconut water right now. The coconut water could not sit there without the can. That's the masculine right now. So in order to have the thing that we want, aka the beverage, like such a random example, but like to be able to hold the money, you need to have the right financial systems and structure.
I love that.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like
great
people
analogy.
actually need the both. So it's like, it's not about picking one or the other. And that's what I always say to my clients too. Like, I'm great at the masculine. I love the infrastructure, but I'm also like, a lot of the time clients come to me and they're really good in their feminine. I'm like, I'm giving them that structure. I'm not saying I have the entirety of the solution. And that's the thing. That's why I love working with women that are like so good in their feminine. They're like, I hate structure. And I'm like, I'm going to change the game for you. We're going to do the both, because it's like, it really isn't about picking one or the other.
You need both. You blend mindset and strategic discipline. How do you personally tell the difference between mindset blocks and strategic issues?
Almost like I said before, I feel like when we think it's a strategy issue, it's a mindset issue. And when we think it's a mindset issue, it's a strategy issue. I feel like when we really understand as well, like human psyche and our ego, like we're going to lean towards the thing that feels like the convenient thing to blame.
Yeah.
When it's like, actually, it's the thing that we don't want to see.
Interesting.
9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
So trying to think of an example, like let's just say content and showing up on content. A lot of people will be like, oh, it's, my fear of being seen and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, that could be true. And that's probably, there's going to be parts that are true. Again, it never has to be one thing or the other. But do you actually have a structure that you can follow when it comes to creating content?
Yeah.
Because even like I've created content for years now. I've created like hundreds of thousands of hours of worth of content. But if you said to me right now, pop up your phone and record something, I would go blank. Maybe I'm, scared of being rejected. Like, you could spiral into that, but it's like, well, maybe you just haven't planned effectively.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have a theme for your content or a rinse and repeat process. Yeah, I think it's like, that's the distinguisher, is like when you think it's one thing, it's actually the other.
Yeah. When you think it's mindset, it's actually
your strategy.
When you think it's strategy, it's actually mindset.
Yeah, a lot of the time.
Wow. That actually makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And I think that I have experienced this too. Like, I don't know if I want to be on camera, but really, have I put in the strategy of what I actually want to record? And I know that when I have a strategy of what I want to record and I lay it out, it's so easy.
Yeah.
And there isn't really the mindset blocks if you have a really effective strategy, because you know exactly what you're doing.
It's the same way that, like, if coming here today, I didn't have your address in my sat nav to like come to this studio.
Yeah.
It probably would have been way fucking harder to get here. And then I would have spiraled that like, you're just not good at geography, and see, you're never good enough. You don't get anything right. And you're like, you could spiral down the mindset path, but it's like, well, when you literally just have turn left, turn right, here's your ETA.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier when you've got that structure. So that's how I like to see strategy. And I think you can still have, here's your end destination. You can kind of see it on your maps. But okay, if I want to go down like the scenic road, you can still do that. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, is they think strategy is so dry and you can't be authentic. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, the right strategy will allow you to actually be more of that.
Yeah. You're so value driven. What boundaries have helped you keep your business clean, clear, and energetically aligned as you've grown?
Okay, I love this. I was literally speaking at an event about boundaries the other day when it comes to like systems and capacity. I think, like, for me, my biggest values are things like my health, my relationships, and overall feeling fulfilled in my business. And I think a lot of the time we think business, requires self-sacrifice and, losing ourselves in the process. And I've had my moments as well where my health has slipped and all of the things. And now I know how shit my business is when I don't have the things that I actually value. So I think sometimes too it creates, you need to learn those lessons yourself and have the experience to know.
Yeah.
But I think even for me, like, boundaries around my clients and when I'm available has been huge. Not from a space of you can't talk to me and like I'm on a pedestal and you're here, but it's like I really see boundaries as, I always use like dating analogies with my clients. It's
Yeah.
so random. If I was going on a date with a guy, I'm in a relationship, I'm happy. But, you go out for a nice dinner and he, drops you home and then it's like, I had an amazing date. I'm going to send you a text message, plan the next date. You go inside and you feel settled because you're like, cool, I know
Yeah.
that I can hear from him here.
Yeah.
Like, you know what to expect.
Yeah.
So that's what boundaries are as well, is like creating the expectation so you're on the same page. So when I start a space with clients, it's like, here's what you can expect. I'm in at least twice a day. If that I haven't responded, bump the message up. Like, they know how to show up in the space and then they feel really safe in doing so. So boundaries with clients in that regard. Then I'm really big on like boundaries for my end of day wrap. Like, once I'm done for the day, and yes, maybe like 10% of the time, 5% of the time, by choice, I might go in and respond to clients or whatever, but there's again not the expectation.
Yeah.
For me, I love like my wind down of like, tonight I'll box and that's like, cool, work's done after. Like when I get to boxing, that's done.
That's so important to live your life outside of your business.
And like, no, like I just see it as well. Like, do clients really want to pay me if I'm changing my desk all day?
Yeah.
Probably, like, I wouldn't want to learn business from someone that does that.
Yeah.
Like, so that's been huge. And then I would say as well, even boundaries, like early days with my family was like the most challenging thing that I had to do.
Interesting. Yeah.
And my dad and I are very similar, and I like see myself where I do it. Like, I get paid to do it. So it's like good in that regard. But, dad's very much like, well, have you considered this thing? Have you thought about this thing? And early days in business for me, it felt like he was doubting me, or felt like, he didn't trust that I could just do the thing.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the conversations I had to have with him is like, I know you're looking out for me, but like, or like, I need you to, like, when I come to you and ask for your opinion, I want your opinion in that time, but like, please don't, throw projections and limitations and like, have you thought about X, Y, and Z? It was never coming from a space of him trying to be.
It's supportive.
Yeah, it's like never trying to bring me down, but that's how it felt for me. So I think that's the thing as well, is like, we can actually dissolve a lot when we actually just speak to people, as much as it can be uncomfortable. Yeah, I remember that was like one of the most uncomfortable. I was like so scared because I'm like, I knew dad's intentions. I'm like, I don't want to, upset him or think that I don't care or value his opinion. So yeah, that was one as well. And I think as well, especially with socials, like mum and dad would be like, do you swear in your content? Do you this in your content? And I was just like, guys, I need you to just like let me do my own thing in this, And now they just like love someone like evidence-based training who like calls his audience like cunts. Have you seen him on socials?
No.
I'm so surprised that you haven't. He's massive in the space.
Don't know stuff.
He's like, hey, Connie. They're like, oh, he's like, he swears and he's so authentic. And I'm like, literally me. So, and I'm not like that rogue. But I think that was another one as well of like, just keep your opinions to yourself.
Yeah, I think that the unwanted opinions can be so harmful. And I think setting those boundaries is so, so important in like keeping your own peace within yourself and like knowing your value. Just, I've experienced this a lot as well from my dad. And he's also a business owner, has his own business. And he gives great advice. Like, my dad is awesome. Love him so much. Sometimes the advice, though, is when I don't want advice.
Yeah.
And, I think having that conversation of, I don't want your advice right now, like, I'm going to do it anyway, and this is who I am, can be so beneficial for both sides because you know the expectation, as you mentioned.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like even with partners as well. Like I feel like it's quite common on like TikTok and socials now, but like, you know, when you go to your partner, because men especially are so like they're the fixers, they're the doers,
Yeah.
they're the problemers.
Yeah.
And it's
How do we
like,
fix it?
do you want a solution right now or do you just need like to be heard and seen?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
even something even in like my relationship as well. Like if I'm just having a moment, whether it's about business, life, whatever, and it's like, oh, but you know, like, but you're still strong and like you're still good. And it's like, I actually don't need to hear this right now. I just need you to hug me. Like,
Yeah.
so I think
Yeah.
it's even that too of like, okay, what do you actually need from people? And, you know, even especially once you start going out to team and things like that, like, okay, I've had to learn to set boundaries with team and like, here's what I actually need from you right now. Like this is, you know, as much as things can be uncomfortable, I think that's really important,
Yeah.
like communication. I think a lot of people say like, oh, communication's key, but a lot of people don't actually
Don't know how
effectively
to
communicate or
Yeah.
don't know how to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think even with friends, if they come to you with an issue and just saying, would you like some advice during this time, or do you just want to like talk it out and just tell me everything?
Yeah.
And it makes you feel so like seen and heard to like know which way the conversation is going to go.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like what you actually need in that moment.
Do you dive much into energetics in your business and personal life?
To a lot of people's surprise, quite woo woo.
Yeah.
Like
Love a bit of woo woo.
yeah, like Wayne Dyer, love him. So yeah, I'm quite big on like the energetic side of things, even with a client. Yesterday she gave me a call and was like, you know, I've lost, you know, 4 clients in the past 2 weeks. It was kind of, again, it was like when a perfect example of like, what do I implement? What's a strategy? And I'm like, no, this is actually mindset, energetics.
Yeah.
I'm like, you need to be okay with holding the space right now of clients leaving. It's a part of the journey. Like, okay, what's the reason? Okay, there was nothing for you in that. Yes, we could implement this one thing for the future, but there's nothing for you in that. It's a part of business and serving clients. This for you right now is being okay with the space. They weren't even your ideal client. Can you hold the emptiness before more aligned clients come in?
Yeah.
There is a lot of that. And I am really big, again, even for when we think of manifestation, what you speak into reality. If I hear clients that are like, I hope this, oh, I'm just not good at that. I'm like, I can't charge that. Like, for as long as you say that, that will be the case. And you're going to create more evidence of that.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to literally create that for yourself. So, yeah, I think that's huge. Like, I am definitely more on the logical side of things, but I'm like, I think a lot of people see my content and you've always got to have a villain in your story to be polarizing and to stand out on social. Yeah, I will create content that's like, could you imagine walking into a boardroom saying we need to just manifest? Like, so I will demonize it in my content, but it's not that I actually like demonize it. It's just for the point of standing out in content.
And I think that people have different like approaches to like the woo-woo stuff. Like some people it is a little bit more logical. Some people it's just like full woo-woo, doesn't make sense. But that might make sense to someone else.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
For someone who is doubting their next move or feeling like their strategy is not working, what's the first thing you'd ask them to audit?
Oh, obviously it's a hard one when there's like not too much context to give to this.
Yeah.
But I want to say if I can keep it super general, I would probably look at literally just like a list of like, okay, what is working and what isn't working and what's the data that actually exists to support it. I think a lot of the time we can make decisions based on emotion, even if it doesn't feel like it's emotion. It's like, oh, well, I'm posting the content, I'm ticking the box. Just because you're ticking a box doesn't mean that you're like executing the strategy or like you have enough data. So I'd encourage you to dig deeper to look at the data and then from there understand what's working and what's not. And just to play around. I think a lot of the time too, people don't realize with strategy, there is also an energy of kind of somewhat throwing spaghetti at a wall. Like you have the plan, you have the structure, but you can move with intentionality around like the messy action you take as well. So let's just call it something really simple, like posting content. It's like, oh, it's not converting. Okay, well, what content is? Like I would look at the data. What are your website analytics, your link clicks? Where are you driving them? Okay, when you posted that specific type of content or like on this theme, trial that again in a different way. Did that drive link clicks again? Like it's kind of doing that research yourself. And I think a lot of the time we can just look at something at face value, but not actually dig deeper.
Yeah. I love that. Like actually looking at what is working, what is not working, and going from there, given that there's not much context for this question. If someone listening is quietly building their vision, but feeling behind, What would you want them to know about staying in it?
I think Gary Vee is like such a great guy for this. Of like, you'll be like 40, he'll be like, you're fucking young. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think again, we just go to blame things like, oh, well, I'm too old and I'm this and I'm that. And it's like, okay, if you couldn't blame anything, like strip all of that back and just do. Like,
Mm.
it's the only way. And if you are really passionate about this and you do really want to do this, like, you will just make it work. And I
Yeah.
think, you know, yes, blocks and things like that can come up, but I'm also like of the opinion too, when it comes to like business mindset, all of the things, if we have to like out mindset so much of it, I don't actually think that business is for you or this business is for you. And that like is a harsh thing to hear, but you can listen to podcasts of extremely successful entrepreneurs. They didn't have one business mentor, didn't learn a business course, like they just fucking did it. And I think there is that level too of like, if you're not willing to go through the seasons where it feels like nothing's working, where it feels like you're not getting results, where it feels like no one's hearing you, like insert the thing, you're going to have much bigger challenges to face in business. So I think that's also a huge part to it of like, okay, is this just like head noise right now? Or is this just like, maybe it's actually not the right path? And don't, like we we're saying before we were recording, don't just like force something for the sake of I have to finish what I've started as well. So having that flexibility to pivot.
I love that. And like, I think it can be so hard for someone to recognize that something is just not working. Because sometimes it's not. And I think that there's so much power in being able to recognize that and shift. But also, like on the opposite side of that, being able to get through like the lulls. Being able to stick it through when it's like a little bit quieter, but you can see that it's going to work. And I think something that's really important in that is your passion. Like if you are really truly passionate about something, then you're probably going to be able to make it work. But if the passion isn't there and if there's absolutely no skill there, I'm sure no one listening would be in that category. Yeah, I love that.
And there's going to be the slow seasons are inevitable. The hard seasons are inevitable. And it's not going to be every day that you wake up and you are so extremely passionate. Like there's days, there's weeks that I'm like, this feels like a bit of a slog right now. But like, it doesn't even become a question of, is this for me and should I quit? Like, so I think there's also that as well. And, you know, if it is feeling so shitty, okay, well, what are you going to do about it to shift and pivot? Because there's probably a few tweaks you can make and then you're good again.
Yeah, it could be just like a few small things. And that is like the few small things that then gets you on the path to success.
Exactly.
And it's just a matter of getting past that, like that little step.
Yeah.
And then you're on your way.
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
Well, I have one final question for you that was left for you from a previous guest.
Okay.
The question is, are you truly living the life that you desire?
Yes. Like one word answer, 1,000%. I feel like, again, when we kind of go back to the start of this episode of, values and everything that I want, I'm like I can actually comfortably say, like, I could die tomorrow and I'd be, like, so happy. Like, I'm just like, yes, there's so much for me to more, like, to live out more and experiences that I want to achieve. But I'm like, there's not something that I'm like, I wish I did that. I wish I didn't do this. Like, I'm just, like, so content and so happy. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for all the wisdom you've shared. I know there'll be people who will be re-listening to this and definitely checking out your podcast. Yeah, so much that you offer in your one-on-ones, in your podcast, in your other YouTube videos.
Thank you so much.
Do you want to share your Instagram handle?
Yeah, so it's just the Taylor Lee C on Instagram. And then, my podcast is Simply Business.
Amazing. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into Unfiltered Greatness. I truly appreciate you being here. This show is about building a community of people hungry for growth and real conversations. If you enjoyed this episode, the best way you can support the show is by hitting follow wherever you're listening, sharing it with a friend, or even to your story and tag us so I can celebrate you being part of this community. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, a quick rating or review makes a huge difference. It supports this show to continue bringing you even more value in every episode. A quick disclaimer, these conversations are for education and inspiration, not diagnostic or professional advice. Thanks again for tuning in. Remember to stay inspired, stay grounded, and keep chasing your own version of greatness.